Hi everyone. We are back with Wesch, chapter 6. We were heading back. We went from 5 to 8 because we went from infrastructure to globalization, and now we're going back to 6, social structure. But before we do that, I want to take us back to the syllabus so that you can see where we are. As you know, you've been taking quizzes ahead of where you actually are. So tomorrow you're going to take the quiz on a quiz on West Chapter 6, even though you took the quiz on Lesson 8 last week, but we didn't discuss it until this week, and we're also discussing Lesson 6. And you know this because in your participation assignments, when you're supposed to be doing that this weekend, right? This is the 19th on Sunday night. You're going to have Wesch lesson 8 and lesson 6 from social structure. You see, so we're because last week was the Easter Sunday and Good Friday and all that. I didn't want to burden those of you who are and Passover, those of you who are involved in these religious commitments with too much video watching. But now we'll watch a lot of videos today and tomorrow and the weekend and get those participation assignments in, and then we'll do superstructure next week and the good life the week after that. I'm getting the notes up. I'll get them up very soon. I just got them done for superstructure, and then I got to type them up for the good life, and then we're done. So we're working to the end of it here. Okay. Social structure, Wesch lesson 6. Most of what we take as reality as a cultural construction. It is realized, made real through our unseen, unexamined assumptions of what is right, true, or possible. We like to decide, we like to imagine that we're in control of our decisions, but in reality, those decisions are made for us by limiting what is possible in this time and place. For example, the real election happens in April, not in November, right? By the time you get to November, you've got two options, option A and option B. Back in April, when you took the when you did the primary, it's delayed until June this year, but you can still do it online. Go and if you want to make sure that your voice is heard for who gets to stand for your state representative and your state senator and all that, you have to mail off your ballot now. Mail off a request to go to the Butler County or whichever county you're in, the elections board, and mail off for a ballot, and one will come to you in the mail, and then you got to get it in there before sometime in June, I think, is the deadline, or July maybe. Okay, so that's when the real decisions get made, is who is going to be the candidate, and then after that, it's pretty much decided. For my county, Butler County, it's always the Republican. So I'm usually registered as a Republican to influence who is going to win those local Butler County races. Love in four cultures. We have four cultures: Nemacot Village in Papua New Guinea, Masai Boarding School in Kenya, Madurai Village in Tamil Nadu, South India, and Edinburgh, Scotland. So we have a shotgun wedding going on in Papua New Guinea. We've got a forced marriage in Kenya, a cousin marriage, arranged marriage in India, and then a love marriage in Scotland. So most of us are going to be most familiar with the love marriage since that's what we do. But majority of people around the world don't really make love marriages. At least they're not very stable marriages when they get made. Just because marriage is very often a much more fraught exercise than we see it as. So, World Without Money in Papua New Guinea. When they have that marriage, what is it? It's a shotgun wedding. There's a bride wealth. Um, the bending to the options are bending to social control versus evading control. So social control, this is telling you who you're going to get married to, and the option is to evade that control and marry the person you want to marry. World Without Money, Papua New Guinea, people are attacked with kindness and generosity. There's a massive over-the-top pit of marita juice. This is also called pandanus. It's like a red pineapple, and they smash them all up and toss them into the pit, and then you get tossed in there yourself um, as part of the wedding ceremony. It's a gift economy. We're familiar with this gift economy because we just got through the meaning of white men. The economy is based on social obligation between people who know each other and have extended a gifting relationship over years. The gift economy is a norm for human society prior to the invention of money and private property 5,000 years ago. It's also the invention of debt, in the sense of the debts you can pay off with money and lives. Commodity economy. That's the opposite. We just got through talking about this economy based on money paid at the time of exchange. Money economies do not value relationships rather than things. They value things rather than relationships, and they work best in large-scale societies without many long-term personal relationships and with money as the medium of exchange. The more money works, the better it works, and the more places it invades your life, the better off or worse off, depending on if you're looking at it from a human perspective. But from a money perspective, definitely it works better if you apply the cold, hard economic rationality to every aspect of your life. You're just going to make more and more money. Whether or not you'll have any relationships left, that's another situation. Bride wealth. The groom is not buying a wife. Instead, he is building and strengthening a vast network of social relationships that will soon unite his network with the network of his bride. So this is very important. We're not we're not buying and selling women. Instead, we are uniting families, and sometimes with a very high bride wealth, this can be quite painful for the woman. Where I grew up, we're going to get to Ghana here again, to the map, so you can follow along where I am. But where I was in northern Ghana, there was a big bride wealth, about 4 cows. And so a cow in Ghana costs what it costs here. It's about $150 for a calf. So you're looking at about $600 if you want to get married. And the typical income, annual income in Ghana at the time, was about $600. So it was pretty poor. So it would be the same as you, American. What's your typical income? Maybe $25,000, 25, 50, 75, 100,000, right? $100,000 cold hard cash on the barrel if you want to get married. Can you do it? Can you get married tomorrow? Do you have $100,000 in cash? Do I have $100,000 in cash after 25 years of education and work? No, no. That's an awful lot of money. So there's no way any young man who's in his 20s or even early 30s is going to be able to get married on his own, right? And now you see why families are so closely connected. Because where do you get that money from? You get it from family members. You go to grandpa, you go to grandma, you go to Uncle so and so, you go to your parents, you go to your favorite great uncle who's loaded, and you say, "Hey, can I give 100 here, 1,000 there, 10,000 seed money? Can you match that?" And you put this package together, and then you get married, right? And you say, "Hey, I want to marry her," and they're like, "Cool, she looks good." No, no, they do not do that. They say, "No way, you are never marrying her. You're going to marry that one over there." And you look at her, you're like, and they're like, "Well, if you want to get married, that's who you're doing it with, okay? Because we're paying the bill for it." And so this is how it was in northern Ghana around Bolgatanga, where I grew up. Was if you wanted to get married, you had to marry who they told you to marry. Because if you wanted to get married in the traditional way, okay, so there's 3 different kinds of marriages. Let's throw this up here. This is just important to look at a little chart here. So one, there's traditional law. Traditional law, which involves inheritance and lineage. So you belong to this house. You have a right to this house. It's a household. It's extended families. So grandpa has the sort of the or great uncle so and so has the boss position in the household, and you are in that house, and you have a right to farm in these lands. and you have a right to harvest from those trees because you are a member of this lineage, and all your male offspring will contribute to that lineage. If you're in a matrilineage, it's the opposite. We'll get to that. So that's traditional law. Number two is church law. This is what the pastor says. According to the Bible. And then number three is government law, which mainly involves divorce. And government law, mainly this has to do with governing, what do we call it? Alimony and child support. So if you're married according to the government, then you pay alimony if you get divorced. If you're not married, and you of course pay child support. If you're not married according to the government, you have to pay child support, but not necessarily alimony, unless it was common law. There's lawsuits involved. So these are the three ways to get married, and all three of them matter. Oh goodness, we're up to 11 minutes. We will come back to this.